Night Wind to Bahia by Thomas Thorpe, based on the novel by Thorpe. Exterior, sailing ship, Atlantic, 1833, day, establishing. A large clipper ship churns its way through choppy sea, stiff wind, splashing foam, and white caps, billowing clouds warn off an approaching storm. Closer angles on deck. The ship is nearly deserted. At stern, the helmsman wrestles with wheel. On forward deck, one crewman works. At midship, William and Charles stand at the bulwark, bracing against a Peebles. Nearby, William's wife, Elizabeth, sits on a deck chair, huddled in blanket, writing in a diary, fighting the blowing pages.
6 of us are left on this cholera-infested ship. We dare not venture below deck. The crew is convinced both air and water are fouled.
With blowing hair, she strains, looking out at the horizon.
8 days after our last glimpse of British Isles, half those on board were struck down.
Wind howls. William steadies himself on the tipping deck. She looks up at the snapping sails amid clattering lines.
Bodies were pushed overboard, and no one dared to recover the poor souls confined below.
William approaches and places a hand on her shoulder as he reads the page. She looks up at his gaunt face.
Thanks be God, William and Charles survive.
Charles gingerly follows over to them on swaying deck.
This storm looks like it's really going to be a big one.
If we don't fill out these sails soon, the masts can break and the ship capsize.
A shout comes from the helmsman at the wheel aft.
Gentlemen, we must clue up the fore, main and mizzen.
William frowns, lifts up his palms upward. The other sailor, Remy, beckons from the main deck.
Go with Remy and pull up the clew lines. Make fast, the wind's rising, rough waters ahead.
Loud roar, heaving waves spread water over planking. Overhead, a maze of dancing rigging, creaking masts, and puffing canvas. They awkwardly step to him.
What must we do?
Remy points to horizontal spars stretching from main mast.
We must set the sail clear. Follow me up the ratlines to the main top. We'll cut the stirrups.
Remy is halfway up the swaying mesh when the Englishmen grab handles of long knives from a box next to the bulwark. They grope their way up the twisting shrouds, feet and hands slipping off the rope ladder, struggling to the swaying top. Exterior mast top, day. The 2 men climb to a small platform, barely 5 feet wide, 50 feet above deck, amid a forest of swinging rope and heaving canvas. Remy already straddles an 18-inch thick boom near the end of the yardam. Every few feet he bends and saws the connecting ropes. Exterior, crow's nest, day. William and Charles cling to the swaying mast top under the storm's driving gusts and pounding rain. Close on Charles.
I can't stop shaking.
I've never been good with heights.
William grips Charles by the shoulders and hugs him as they sway 10 feet side to side.
We have to do this, or the ship will capsize.
No, I've got to get down. I can't do this.
Stay here. Hold on, Remy.
Exterior, starboard side, spar extending below crow's nest, day. Remy clings to the spar while cutting free attachment ropes of the mainsail. Water blasts his face and he gasps for breath. Exterior, port side, spar extending below crow's nest, day. William straddles the opposite boom as it rises and falls. Clutching the slippery yardam, he inches his way out to the furthest sail eyelet, then starts back toward the crow's nest, pausing every few feet to reach down and saw through the sail's connecting ropes. Exterior, long view of mainsail, day. Mainsail droops on Remy's side, causing the ship to tilt.
William, you have to cut more ropes or the sail will break the mast.
Exterior, starboard spar, day. The yardam lurches when the partially freed canvas flaps underneath. A line woven through the yard's eyelet snakes its way free and smacks across Remy's leg. He screams. Groping wildly, the seaman slides from the boom. The figure plummets amid tearing sails. An ankle catches in the remaining rope. As he falls, halts abruptly. The flailing body swings out over the water and narrowly misses the mainmast on its return.
He'll be killed if it hits the mainmast.
I'll cut him loose. His fall to the deck is only another 15 feet.
Summoning courage, Charles crouches onto the wet spar, carefully pressing his body atop the beam for balance. His shaking fingers grip its smooth shaft, stretching as far as they can, while the span tosses dizzily with the crests and troughs in the sea below.
Oh, please, God, let me live through this.
With legs locked and one arm wrapped around the slick beam, he reaches out, slipping at the cable again and again.
Hurry! There's no more time!
All at once, snapping sounds from the remaining strands reward his effort. The rope breaks free, and the tangled sailor plunges into the frothing ocean. Remy's body floats away. Half the heavy mainsail continues to dangle free, precariously tipping the ship further to starboard. William edges back to the platform as Charles straddles the opposite spar.
I'll cut the rest of the canvas away.
Careful!
Twisting precariously while trying to maintain balance, the nervous nobleman carefully cuts each tie and pushes back towards center. After tense minutes, 7 of 10 remaining straps are cut loose. 3 ties now hold the huge drooping canvas. A loud moaning sound penetrates above the wind's wail. The spar cracks.
Look out!
3 feet near the mast, a joint appears in the boom, lowering the outer length under Charles several inches. The knife tumbles free from his grasp.
Come back! It's breaking under the sail's weight!
William stretches toward the beam. Charles looks over his shoulder, his face contorted in agony. Frantically, he shoves himself at the newly forming hinge. The 2 men are still 5 feet apart when the limb jerks down again.
Grab my hand!
Charles lunges toward William's outstretched hand, but the broken piece slides him further away.
Help me! Help!
The wildly gesturing form falls away, carried off with the collapsing sail. The body hits the deck within a mass of canvas that begins billowing overboard, dragging the motionless body to the rail.
Charles! No!
William dangles by one arm from the edge of the platform. Exterior deck, day. Elizabeth rushes across the main deck and grabs a handful of canvas, but the massive sail yanks her forward onto her stomach as waves splash across the deck. A torrent of water engulfs the woman, throwing her across the surface. Elizabeth madly crawls through the brine towards Charles. The ship tips once more, sliding them both backwards to the rail. She screams hysterically, holds onto Charles' body as the escaping mass carries her up and over the bulwark. Just as they are about to fall off into the raging sea, another wave sends the pair tumbling back again across the center area.
Someone help me!
William scrambles down the mesh ladder and jumps onto the pitching planking. A huge wave buries everyone. Choking back salt water, he regains his feet and springs forward, landing between Elizabeth and the bulwark. With feet pressed against the rail, he manages to grab her as the sail slips underneath and carries Charles's body overboard. Once the canvas disappears, he looks back anxiously at midship.
Over there! Get inside the captain's quarters!
Under tormenting waves and falling mast pieces, William and Elizabeth wedge their fingers between planking boards to anchor themselves against walls of water flooding the ship.
Hang on!
Slowly, they edge toward a doorway aft of the main deck. Another wave crashes down from the massive swells, sliding them all the way to the opposite rail. The pair lays stunned for a moment. Then they begin fighting for handholds once more.
I can't take this!
Out of the foam, William's hand grasps her arm. Gradually, they work their way to the opening and tumble inside the cabin. Interior, inside captain's cabin, day. The captain's quarters contains a large bed, desk, and table. On the bed, the dying captain lays wrapped in blankets. Spitting and choking, William slams the door against the maelstrom. He turns to his dripping wife and brushes the hair out of her eyes, her pale neck marred only by an old bullet scar. The feisty young woman falls into his arms. He holds her trembling body, gazing into soft brown eyes. She smiles weakly at her husband and then faces the captain.
Thank God you're alive. Is there anyone left to run the ship? Is there enough food?
Calm yourself, dearest. He can't help us now.
The current should carry the ship west.
Okay.
Boil the meat. I'm sorry.
Captain dies.
No! No! You have to get us to land! We can't do this ourselves! Don't leave us! There's no one else!
I saw the helmsman at his post after he sent Charles and me up to cut the sail. It's my fault. I forced him to stay up there.
No! You both tried to save the ship.
She kisses him lightly on the cheek. Sounds of barreling gusts and creaking planks are interrupted by spars crashing down outside. Dissolve.